Good evening, folks. This is Acid Roots. I'm going to review a Blink-182 album. This is their newest album, 9. Now, I've talked about Blink-182 a little bit in the past, but I don't think I've ever reviewed an album by them. And I think down the road I might review the Enema of the State and a few other ones. Basically, they've had kind of a spotty kind of discography. Like they were there in like the early 2000s, maybe up to like 2005. Then they came back in 2011. Then they came back again in 2016. So it's been a lot of stuff. I know Travis Barker almost lost his life in a plane crash, which really sucks. And, then one of the vocalists was kind of going through problems as far as what he wanted to do with the band and such. So I know they've had like some problems as to the reasons why, but between like 2005 and 2016, you just didn't really get that much from them. But they did happen to make this 2019 album, and it is extremely effective. And because Travis Barker executive produced like MGK's Tickets to My Downfall, I kind of figured him producing his own music would probably be just as effective. And plus, it's recent, so that's kind of the situation. So is this the blockade? If you are a fan of MGK's Tickets to My Downfall, I would say that this is a great companion piece, for like a 2 or 3 disc player. This would be two of the things that you could put in one of those. And that just kind of happens to be the thing. I was impressed by the number of singles that they dropped and how many of them were good. The fact that they dropped more than 12 songs and a good 2/3 of the project was effective. So it has a lot of positives, and that's kind of the situation. Just the fact that they managed to do all this stuff, pull it off, and actually flourish with the project rather than just drop 1 or 2 singles, vanish, and not really have that much of a productive album. So they didn't do that. It was stellar. It's definitely stellar, and it encouraged me to mess with more of their discography. And as this said, it's their 9th album. They counted their demo as one of their albums, but so we'll go ahead and talk about some of the singles now. So um, they were on tour with Lil Wayne, and they basically promoted this project while being on tour and getting ready to do stuff. But there were 5 singles. So first single was Blame It On My Youth, and I enjoyed this one. Basically all the singles minus Generational Divide I enjoyed. I mean, it sounds, as far as that's concerned, I mean, the thing I like about Blink 182 is a lot of this just feels like on the go kind of music. It's meant for your car, it's meant for the outdoors, it's meant for like certain types of get togethers and stuff, that sort of thing. It just has like a lot of festivity, a lot of encouragement kind of towards it, even though the topic matter is kind of dark. So even though this is outgoing music, the the coverage, the content that they talk about is kind of almost depressing. But luckily the instrumentals are not. Like Travis Barker, the guitars and stuff, like that sort of stuff is, I mean, it's peppy. It's just the stuff they're talking about is kind of juxtaposed with something that's not quite as encouraging. That is kind of the thing. But I did like Blame It On My Youth. It felt like just like the type of song to kind of get ready, just to kind of get your night going, that sort of stuff. And I'll cover some of these so you know more of what I mean. But I enjoyed it. Generational Divide, I did not enjoy. That kind of felt like just like a warm up song for the band or something. It would just seem like, yeah, we're getting ready to start a concert, that sort of thing. It's not like I wouldn't normally like that, but I would have just preferred like a song, if that would have been fleshed out into more of a song. Happy Days is kind of a depressing song, kind of dealing with wanting to have happy days. And I mean, I really like the instrumental on this one, the way that those worked. And it's the content that, I mean, if it had been a different topic, the song probably would have, hit more with me, but I can still listen to it. I mean, that one just, I mean, it feels more, I mean, a lot of these just kind of feel like playing shindig kind of backyard barbecue kind of stuff, but just in a lot of ways. I mean, there's plenty of ways to listen to some of these, but I mostly associate these singles with having fun, just getting ready to go down. So despite the fact that the topic is not really about that, I'd still consider it that way. But it is a good song. And Dark Side was probably my favorite of the singles that released. I felt like the singing and the melodies in the singing were extremely good. That, I mean, it worked. It was the catchiest one. Kind of reminds me of something Green Day would do, or someone like that. And it's another kind of dark topic. You know, I'll go to the dark side with you, kind of thing. But I mean, once again, if you're not listening thoroughly to the lyrics, it may just sail kind of right over your head. But I did like it. So that's just the thing. It's interesting that Blink 182 was not so. We're not happy campers with this project. So I really wish I Hated You was kind of more of a relationship song. And this is kind of another one that just felt like kind of on the go and stuff, except it's not quite as up tempo as Blame It on My Youth, but it's still I did enjoy it. And to kind of throw the relationship vibes in there also is kind of another good thing. So it's kind of, once again, it kind of reminded me of like a Green Day song. Didn't really quite feel as punk, but it does kind of feel like emo rock almost. So it's not too much of a problem. I just would have to say. So yeah, 5 singles or 4.5 with Generational Divide being less than a minute. I mean, a lot of these were encouraged. The Blame It on My Youth and I Really Wish I Hated You charted on the rock radio in America. And yeah, I mean, it's encouraging because you actually have some stuff. I don't know if all 5 had music videos, but it's it's good promotion for the project. Despite whatever lyrical moods that they were kind of in, they still had good promotion, and probably underneath the surface we're having some fun also. So yeah, they're just good backyard music, good music. Get some nachos, get some beer, get some some females around, and just have a good time chilling out, that sort of shit. It's good. And the rest of this album was actually rather stellar, and that's the thing. I don't mean actually like I was surprised, but the fact that it was, I'm I wasn't expecting this kind of angle from rock music, because it seems like it's different from other Blink 182 records in a slight sense. I mean, I do own Enema of the State, and that one was a lot more peppy and kind of didn't have quite as brooding instrumentals. And I mean, they really do that with this project. I mean, it has some different inflections as far as the stuff that they do, and different angles, different topics, despite it kind of being more brooding about stuff. But I still like the angles that this was going. And it's not like I'm complaining. I like this angle. It's encouraging because it's interesting. That's kind of the thing. It's like, hey, you think the stuff that they're kind of going through, you wouldn't think, them being millionaires, but you get the idea. So some of the records, I'm not going to sit there and list every single one, but some of the other favorites I had besides the singles were Runaway, which kind of reminded me of a Linkin Park song, and then No Heart to Speak Of, and then Hung Over You. So those were some other extremely good songs that probably could have been singles if they wanted to promote this project to that degree. And that's kind of the thing. I'm not going to complain that they didn't, but those are some other ones that could have been released to radio. So, but all right, so I'm going to recommend to you the songs. We haven't gotten to that yet. So that's the thing. As much as I've been happily talking about this project, I'm going to list the highlights for you. So out of 15 songs, there wound up being 10 I enjoyed. So Happy Days, Heaven, Dark Side, Blame It on My Youth, Runaway, I Really Wish I Hated You, Pin the Grenade, No Heart to Speak Of, On Some Emo Shit, and Hung Over You. That's good. I mean, that's extremely good. I would almost say Generational Divide, if you really do like the idea of like a warm up kind of song for them, just like that sort of stuff, that might be an extra one, but it just is way too short a song, just 50 seconds. But yeah, so that's 10 songs. So I'm going to give this album an 8 out of 10. That's extremely good. If it had just given me one more highlight, I'd give it a 9, because 11 out of 15, not too many albums I think these days can really do that. So that's kind of the thing. It's the same way I felt with JB. So the social score I will give a 9 also, just because 4 hit singles just like that. I mean, that if that happens on a rap album, that's usually extremely good. And then plus there was just one single out of the 5 that I didn't enjoy. So if they had switched Generational Divide with like On some emo shit or Hungover You or Runaway even, I would have said, yeah, it gets a 10. But basically, for the most part, it gets like an A minus. It almost hit the mark, but four terrific singles is nothing to scoff at. So that's just kind of the thing. So yeah, I mean, this is a highlight, and this is a complete surprise at its effectiveness in terms of not just punk rock, but general rock radio in the late 2010s and even these recent times. It still holds true. So yeah, it's encouraging. Yeah.